1. You have never let your heart turn to stone. There are people in their early 30s whose eyes have already lost their shine, whose smiles feel forced, and whose voices sound dry, as if all the life inside them has been drained away. And then there are people in their 50s or 60s whose eyes still sparkle when they laugh, whose voices carry warmth, and whose hands still hold on to others as if they're afraid to let go. The difference isn't in the number of years they've lived, nor in their health or appearance. It's in whether or not they've let their heart turn to stone. A heart turns to stone when it no longer feels moved by beauty, no longer aches at the pain of others, and no longer finds joy in witnessing something good. It's when past wounds are covered by a layer of ice, meant to shield you from pain, but in reality, quietly stealing away your life. Some believe that hardening their heart will protect them, but the cost is steep. They also lose the ability to truly feel joy. And inside, they begin to age faster than any wrinkle could reveal. You are different. You've been through losses that would have made many people shut themselves off. Betrayals, misunderstandings, the heartbreak of losing someone you love deeply. Yet instead of locking your heart away, you've chosen to keep it open. Not because you're naive, but because you understand that a heart that still feels is far more worth living with than one that feels nothing at all. Every scar in your heart hasn't hardened you. It has made you deeper. Every wound hasn't turned you cold. It has made you more grateful for love and kindness. You may not notice it, but it's this softness of your heart that keeps you youthful. When you pause to smile at a flower or feel warmth flood through you because of a song, your face lights up in a way no cosmetic can replicate. Science might call it the effect of positive emotions on the body. Others might simply say, "You always seem so fresh." Keeping your heart from turning to stone is not easy because life offers countless reasons to close it off. Yes, keeping it open means you will be hurt more often. That's the truth. But it also means you will receive more laughter, more friendships, more moments of pure connection that closed hearts will never know. And it's those moments, the clasp of a hand, the meeting of eyes, the sincerity of a thank you, that are the true secrets to staying young. If someone were to ask you why you still look youthful despite all the storms you've weathered, you could simply smile and say, "I have never let my heart turn to stone." They might think it's just a poetic line, but those who have chosen to keep their hearts soft in a hard world will understand exactly what you mean. 2. You don't let life take away your joy. There are people who, if you look back at them years ago, once had a smile that could brighten a room. But as time passed, that smile faded, their eyes lost their spark, and an invisible heaviness settled into their every gesture. Life, with its unexpected blows and layered wounds, had quietly stolen their joy, and they didn't even notice. Once joy is gone, aging accelerates, not just in the face, but deep within the soul. You are different. You've lived through days when sadness clung to you like a shadow that wouldn't leave. You've endured failures that left you drained and losses that made you want to shut the world out. There were moments when you nearly believed you would never truly smile again, but you refused to let that happen. You understand that joy doesn't simply appear on its own, nor does it only come from grand, life-changing events. Sometimes, joy is as simple as looking into the mirror in the morning and realizing you still have the strength to smile. It's sitting by the window on a rainy afternoon, sipping a warm cup of tea and listening to a familiar song. It's hearing from an old friend who calls just to ask, "Are you doing okay?" These small things, when cherished, become the stepping stones that carry your youth forward. People don't age the fastest because of time. They age because they stop seeking reasons to be happy. When the mind is buried under exhaustion, doubt, and sorrow, the body inevitably reflects it. The sparkle fades from the eyes, the lips close instead of curving into a smile, the steps grow heavier because the soul is weighed down. You've seen this happen to others, and you chose a different path. You guard your joy as if it were your most precious treasure. That doesn't mean you're happy all the time or blind to life's hardships. You still feel sadness, disappointment, and pain, but you don't let those emotions define your entire existence. You allow them to visit, learn from them, and then gently show them the door, leaving space for better things to come. Sometimes, You create joy for yourself instead of waiting for it to arrive. You plan a short trip just to clear your head. You try a new dish even if you're not sure you'll like it. You plant a small pot of flowers just so you can watch fresh green leaves unfurl each morning. These small acts are like doses of vitamin for your soul, keeping your spirit vibrant. To others, it might seem like you're lucky to always have reasons to smile. But you know that luck has little to do with it. Most of it comes down to choice. The choice to notice what's still good instead of obsessing over what's been lost. The choice to believe that something worth waiting for is still ahead, even if you can't see it yet. The choice to grant yourself permission to be happy, even when life is far from perfect. And the joy you hold on to radiates outward. It's in the way you smile when you greet a stranger. It's in the energy in your voice when you talk about something you love. It's in the light in your eyes when you witness a beautiful moment on the street. That glow is something people feel before they can even name it. Science has shown that positive emotions not only keep you healthier, but also influence your appearance. Smiling often keeps your facial muscles active, slowing the pull of gravity. Living with excitement helps balance your hormones, brighten your skin, and strengthen your body. But science explains only part of it. The rest is a quiet truth only those who live true to their joy can understand. The truth is, joy is fragile. It can be stolen by work stress, careless words, or financial burdens. But you've learned to shield it, like cupping your hands around a small flame in the wind. You know that if it goes out, it may take a long time to reignite. That's why you protect it with patience and intention. Yes, there are still times you cry, feel tired, or want to give up. But you never let those moments define you. You understand, you don't have to be strong every minute. You just have to make sure the darkness doesn't linger too long. Because once it takes over completely, it begins to drain the color from your soul and the light from your face. Keeping your joy is keeping your youth. And youth isn't about having no wrinkles. It's about holding on to your excitement and hope for what's still to come. You've done that. And that's why, no matter how many years pass, people still look at you and think you're younger than you are. If someone asked your secret, you could simply say, "I don't let life take away my joy." It may sound simple, but it's an art of living, a steady, intentional choice in the middle of life's storms. And only those who've lost their joy before truly understand that keeping it means keeping half of their very life force. 3. You live for yourself, not to please everyone. There are people who spend their entire lives bending themselves into shapes that fit the expectations of others. Parents, partners, colleagues, even strangers. They measure their worth by how satisfied others are with them. On the outside, they may seem kind, selfless, even admirable. But if you look closely, you'll see the wear in their posture, the fatigue in their eyes, and the quiet resentment that has settled in their hearts. Living for the approval of others is an invisible burden, and nothing drains a person's youth faster than carrying it day after day. You chose a different way. Maybe once, you tried to be everything to everyone. You agreed to things you didn't want to do, ignored your own needs, and swallowed your discomfort just to keep the peace. But over time, you discovered a truth that set you free. No matter how hard you try, someone will always be unhappy, someone will always want more, and someone will always find fault. You realized that sacrificing yourself to please others was costing you the one life you had. So you began to set boundaries. You learned the power of the word no, even when it felt uncomfortable. At first, guilt whispered in your ear. Society has a way of making people believe that selflessness means self-erasure. But slowly, you came to understand that saying no to what drains you is really saying yes to what truly matters. You began protecting your time, your energy, and your mental well-being as if they were priceless treasures. You stopped trying to prove your worth by molding yourself into someone else's ideal. You stopped reshaping your personality, your dreams, and your choices to fit into boxes that were never meant for you. Instead, you decided to live in alignment with your own values and truth. That decision, though it disappointed some people, brought you peace. And peace has a way of showing itself on the outside. Your shoulders relaxed, your smile became genuine, your presence felt lighter. Living for yourself doesn't mean you've stopped caring for others. In fact, it often makes you more present, more authentic, and more loving. When you help someone now, it's because you truly want to, not because you're afraid of how they'll see you if you don't. That authenticity creates a warmth people can feel, a beauty that no amount of pretending could ever match. Without the constant pressure to please, your spirit began to breathe again. You woke up without the heavy dread of meeting impossible expectations. You moved through your days with a sense of freedom, and that freedom made you glow in ways no cream or serum could achieve. The light in your eyes wasn't borrowed from anyone's approval. It came from the steady knowledge that you were living a life that was truly your own. The truth is, living to please everyone is a battle you will never win. The rules keep changing, and the approval you receive is fleeting. By stepping out of that game, you reclaimed the rarest gift, the right to live life on your own terms. And that gift, that freedom, is one of the most powerful ways to stay youthful, not just in appearance, but in spirit. So if someone were to ask why you seem so at ease, why you carry yourself with a quiet confidence that makes people stop and look, you could simply say, I live for myself, not to please everyone. And those who understand will nod, because they know that this choice doesn't just keep you young, it keeps you alive in the truest sense of the word. 4. You don't hold on to resentment for too long. Some people carry their grudges like heavy stones in a backpack, adding weight with every slight, every betrayal, every disappointment. At first, they tell themselves they're just not ready to forgive, or that holding on to the anger will somehow protect them. But over time, the load becomes heavier, pressing down on their posture, clouding their expression, and draining the brightness from their eyes. Resentment doesn't just harden the heart, it etches itself onto the face, and nothing makes a person look older, faster than the weight of bitterness. You've felt the sting of unfairness. You've been hurt by people you trusted, misunderstood by those you tried to help, and blindsided by actions you didn't deserve. In the moment, you allowed yourself to feel the pain, because pretending it didn't hurt would have been dishonest. But you also understood something that many people never learn. Holding on to resentment doesn't punish the one who wronged you. It only poisons you from the inside out. So you chose to let go, not because what happened was okay, and not because the other person deserved forgiveness, but because you deserved peace. Letting go wasn't an overnight process. Sometimes the anger crept back, whispering reminders of what you endured. But each time it did, you reminded yourself that your life was too short and too precious to waste on replaying scenes that could never be changed. Letting go doesn't mean you forget. You still remember what happened, but you've stopped letting those memories dictate how you feel today. You've learned to take the lesson without carrying the pain. And in doing so, you've freed yourself from the invisible chains that keep so many people stuck in the past. The difference shows. Without the constant weight of old grudges, your face relaxes. Your smile comes more easily. Your voice loses that sharp edge that pain often leaves behind. People sense a lightness about you, not because your life has been easy, but because you've refused to let bitterness take root. Science backs this up. Chronic anger and resentment keep the body in a state of stress, flooding it with chemicals that harm your health and accelerate aging. But beyond science, there's a truth you've lived yourself. When your heart is lighter, your spirit shines. And when your spirit shines, it shows in your eyes, your smile, and the way you carry yourself. Some may think letting go is a sign of weakness. You know it's the opposite. It takes strength to release what you have every right to hold on to. It takes courage to choose peace over the false comfort of anger. And that strength, that willingness to move forward, has helped you keep not only your joy, but also your youth. So if someone asks how you've managed to stay so vibrant despite the wrongs you faced, you can simply say, I don't hold on to resentment for too long. They may nod politely, not fully understanding, but those who have carried a heavy grudge and finally set it down will know exactly why that choice makes you lighter, freer, and yes, younger. 5. You stay curious and keep learning like a child. Some people stop growing long before their bodies begin to age. They settle into routines so rigid that every day feels like a copy of the one before. They stop asking questions, stop exploring, and stop wondering about the world. Slowly, their minds grow dull, their conversations lose spark, and their lives become smaller. Without realizing it, they trade curiosity for comfort. And that comfort comes at the cost of vitality. You've chosen a different way. You've kept the part of yourself that leans in when something new catches your attention, the part that still says, "I wonder how that works," or "I'd love to try that." You still pick up books on topics you know nothing about, still strike up conversations with strangers just to hear their stories, still let yourself get lost in a place you've never been before. You treat life not as something to endure, but as something to discover. This curiosity doesn't mean you're never content. It means you understand that there is always more to learn, more to see, more to feel. And that understanding keeps you awake to the beauty and complexity of the world around you. It keeps your mind flexible, your perspective fresh, and your heart open to possibilities you might have missed otherwise. There's a kind of light that comes from learning something new. You felt it, the spark in your eyes when you finally master a skill, the excitement in your voice when you share a discovery, the quiet pride that lingers after stepping out of your comfort zone. That spark is ageless. It's the same glow you see in children when they figure something out for the first time. And because you've kept that spark alive in yourself, people see it in you too. Curiosity is more than just mental exercise. It's emotional nourishment. It keeps you from becoming hardened or cynical, because every new thing you learn reminds you of how much you don't know, and that humility makes it harder to grow bitter. It also connects you to others, because curiosity naturally leads to empathy. The more you learn about different perspectives, the more you understand that the world is far bigger than your own experiences. Science shows that learning new things keeps the brain sharp, improves memory, and even supports physical health. But beyond the data, you know from experience that staying curious makes life richer. It adds color to ordinary days, gives you stories to tell, and fills your mind with reasons to look forward to tomorrow. Some people think youth is about how you look. You know it's also about how you see. If you wake up eager to explore, if you end your day having learned something you didn't know before, if you still find yourself amazed by the simple and the extraordinary, then youth is still yours, no matter the date on your birth certificate. So when someone wonders why you still have that brightness about you, that energy that draws people in, you could simply say, "I stay curious and keep learning like a child." And those who've let their curiosity fade might feel a twinge of recognition, realizing that the door to youth was never locked. They simply stopped opening it. 6. You respect yourself instead of tearing yourself down. Many people age themselves from the inside out without realizing it. Not through diet, lifestyle, or genetics, but through the way they speak to themselves. They replay their mistakes in an endless loop, criticize their every move, and compare themselves to others until they've drained all joy from their own reflection. Over time, this quiet self-abuse seeps into the way they carry themselves. The slump in their shoulders, the hesitation in their voice, the heaviness in their expression. When you treat yourself like you're unworthy, your body believes it. You've chosen a different path. You've learned that respecting yourself isn't arrogance, it's survival. You speak to yourself with the same kindness you would offer a friend in pain. When you make a mistake, you correct it without turning it into a weapon against yourself. When you fall short, you remind yourself of your worth instead of questioning it entirely. This doesn't mean you never hold yourself accountable. It means you refuse to punish yourself in ways that leave lasting scars. You've also learned to care for your body and mind, not as an afterthought, but as a priority. You eat to nourish yourself, not just to fill the hunger. You rest when you need to, understanding that exhaustion is not a badge of honor. You move your body because it makes you feel alive, not because you're chasing an impossible standard. Every small act of care adds up, creating a quiet foundation of health and confidence that radiates outward. Self-respect also means you set boundaries with people, with work, even with your own habits. You don't allow toxic voices, whether external or internal, to dominate your life. You've learned to walk away from relationships and situations that chip away at your self-worth. And each time you've done this, you've sent a message to yourself. I matter. My peace matters. That message is powerful, and it shows in the way you stand, speak, and look at the world. Science tells us that chronic stress and self-criticism raise cortisol levels, weaken the immune system, and speed up the signs of aging. But beyond the science, there's a deeper truth. When you treat yourself as valuable, your whole being responds. Your eyes are brighter, your voice steadier, your movements more assured. People may not be able to name it, but they feel it. You carry yourself differently when you respect yourself. Respecting yourself doesn't mean you think you're perfect. It means you understand that perfection is a myth, and worthiness isn't earned by flawlessness. It means you choose to nurture your strengths instead of obsessing over your weaknesses. It means you believe you deserve love, kindness, and dignity from others, and most importantly, from yourself. So when someone asks why you seem so comfortable in your own skin, why your presence feels grounded yet light, you can simply say, I respect myself, instead of tearing myself down. Because youth isn't just about the absence of wrinkles, it's about the presence of self-worth, and you've made sure to protect yours. 7. You choose love over fear. Fear has a way of shrinking life. It convinces people to play small, to guard their hearts, to avoid risks that could bring joy as much as they could bring pain. Fear whispers that it's safer not to try, not to trust, not to hope. And while that might protect someone from a little heartache, it also robs them of the very experiences that make life worth living. Over time, a life led by fear becomes smaller, duller, and lonelier, and that quiet isolation leaves its mark on the face and in the spirit. You've chosen differently. You've decided that love, in all its forms, is worth the risk. You love people, even knowing they could disappoint you. You love your work, even when it challenges you. You love the small moments of your life, even though you know they'll pass. You understand that love isn't just romance. It's a way of meeting the world with openness instead of suspicion, generosity instead of guardedness. Choosing love doesn't mean you've been spared from heartbreak. In fact, you've probably felt it more than once. But instead of letting those moments harden you, you've let them teach you that the ability to love again is a form of strength. Love makes you vulnerable. Yes, but it also makes you alive in a way that fear never can. It's visible in the way you move through the world. You greet people warmly. You invest in your relationships. You notice beauty in places others overlook. Even in difficult times, you look for reasons to believe in kindness. That openness creates a certain glow, the kind that no makeup can create, the kind that comes from knowing you've chosen connection over protection, expansion over retreat. Fear tightens the body. Love relaxes it. Fear furrows the brow. Love softens the face. Fear makes the world feel heavy. Love makes it feel possible. You felt the difference firsthand, and that's why you continue to choose love, even when it's not the easy choice. People may think your warmth and trust come from a life untouched by hardship, but you know better. You've walked through pain, disappointment, and loss. And still, you've decided that the answer is not to close off, but to open wider. That decision has kept your heart young, and a young heart always leaves traces on the outside. So when someone asks how you've managed to stay so vibrant, to keep that light in your eyes after all you've been through, you can simply say, I choose love over fear. Because in the end, fear may keep you safe, but love keeps you alive. And that is the truest kind of youth there is.